Coahulla Creek Football Show, presented by Julian Peoples Funeral Homes. Hello and welcome in to the Coahulla Creek Football Show, presented by Julian Peoples Funeral Home. I'm your host, Brooks Carter, joined alongside by the head coach, Drew Carter. Coach, we'll start off by talking about the good from this past week. A fourth quarter comeback that we made things really interesting there. Went into the fourth quarter trailing 27-0. Not even a minute into the fourth quarter, we found ourselves down by 2 touchdowns after successfully scoring, recovering an onside kick, scoring again. Defense forced a 3 and out, and then you come out with a chance to we get back into opponent territory, and we have a chance to really make that thing interesting with about 8 minutes left in the game. A lot of fight from this group to put themselves in that position, considering the circumstances going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and I think everything you said right there kind of characterizes our team because, you know, through all the tough season that we've had, you know, never have we said this group doesn't have fight. They're going to quit easy or anything like that. So you're exactly right there. So super proud of that. Now, you know, we're still a really inexperienced team, even though we keep talking about, all right, it's time to grow up. They've got 6 starts under their belts now. But, I mean, you know, we got to get past that, but we're still young. We're still inexperienced. So there's still some inconsistencies there that are going to hurt us.
Yeah, overall in the game, LFO, I said it on the radio broadcast. I think coming into the game, I would have said they were about 70-30 pass to run. And kudos to Mac Bryan and his coaching staff. They kind of flipped the script and were way more balanced than I was anticipating. I imagine maybe so even with the coaching staff. And they ran the football way more than they have all season.
Yeah, and, you know, defensively, we didn't make those decisions very hard on them either. Because of how slow we were to fit gaps and the amount of missed tackles that we had. So we definitely made it easy and appetizing for them to want to run the football. So, you know, again, teachable moments there, and hopefully we can continue to grow.
Defensively, though, they did. I really felt like when the quarterback dropped back to pass, had a lot of pressure on him. He didn't look that comfortable throwing the football. I think they only had maybe one big pass play that went for like 30-plus yards, and that was really, I think, a result of a missed tackle. In fact, the play, I think the receiver flipped the field after a couple of missed tackles, but they didn't really get anything going in the passing game. And once again, it's our defensive front causing pressure.
Yeah, and I think we knew that coming into the season, and we've seen it pretty much throughout the whole year. Those guys are explosive. They're quick off the ball, and the stuff that Coach Holliday dials up for them really highlights their strengths and their talents. I've been able to shoot gaps and be disruptive and can really make quarterbacks uncomfortable.
All right, let's get into some of the individual efforts and highlights from last Friday night's game. All right, Coach, really big game from a guy that was new to football this year, and he continues to get better and better every week, and that's Brody Howell, who was actually our player of the week. You'll see that in the first commercial break. Has gotten the start at fullback really since like the second or third game of the season. He's gotten more and more involved in the passing game, does a great job as a lead blocker, and also recovered an onside kick Friday night.
Yeah, and then he also ends up having to go in the second half and play defense as well with White Man going down with a concussion. So really involved in all 3 phases of the game. But, you know, really what you talked about first, offensively, what he brings to the table. He really is kind of a chess piece in our offense because it gives us a lot of versatility. We can do a lot of different things in the run game with some different wrinkles and allowing us to read some different things. You know, we've seen Waylon have some success carrying the ball. He did that again this week. But a lot of that hinges on Brody's ability to be able to do different things in the run blocking scheme. And as you mentioned, the fact that he's dangerous in the passing game, that's just an added element. So I guess we, you know, him getting coached up by Coach Will Douglas, kind of bringing back some old memories for us there.
Certainly so. The way that he is utilized in the offense is very similar to how Will Douglas was utilized in the offense. That's exactly what I was thinking from that fullback position, and the lead blocking aspects that he provides. It's been a lot of fun to watch, and he's continuing to develop that skill set. He's a guy that coming into the season, we talked about this really bright sophomore class. He's not a guy that I think I had on my radar, but he is definitely adding to an already talented sophomore class.
Absolutely. I mean, we didn't really have expectations for him because he's new to football. Now we did know that he's physical, he's strong, and he's a smart athlete. But other than that, that's about all we knew out of him. So the way he's able to flourish right now and contribute to our football team is really just a testament to his work ethic and obviously his abilities.
Yeah, so let's keep moving on here offensively. Waylon Belial's had his best passing game from an overall production standpoint, career high passing yards, 196 yards through the air, almost at that 200-yard clip. That's a career high there. Ran the football pretty effectively, too. You talked about that coming into the game. It's time to put it all together, and probably his best overall effort from that standpoint of running and passing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Unfortunately, a lot of times when you're dealing with a young quarterback like that, when you look at the film, you almost evaluate of how few of those moments are you like, what are you doing here? And there were very few of those. So he made good decisions when you look at it that way in the run game and the pass game. Few missed opportunities in the passing game. We had some guys open that he missed, or we had some guys open and we had some drop passes. That would have been tough catches. But again, he's a sophomore and he's getting better and he's putting the ball where it needs to go. And I think he's making really good reads. And he's an asset to our offense in the run game and the passing game.
Yeah, one thing I did want to mention too was Tyler Douglas had a couple of really big runs Friday night. One was an outstanding individual effort, albeit the end result of the play wound up being very unfortunate. Where his ability to keep his feet after falling on the defender, getting back up, running for what would have been, I think, a 44-yard touchdown. Gets the ball knocked out right there at the end of the play. Went on a rant on the broadcast about that. I think that's the dumbest rule in football. If he fumbles it out of bounds anywhere on the field, we maintain possession. But because
Yeah.
he fumbles it out of the back of the end zone, the other team gets it. Rules never made sense to me, but that's I digress. Great effort again from Tyler running the football.
Yeah, he definitely did some good stuff. He's getting more and more comfortable with it. We ask a lot of him, and there's a lot on his plate, and we understand that. But he's got to have the ball in his hands, so we got to find as many different ways to do that as possible. So, when he catches the ball in the passing game, he's dangerous. When we get the ball to him in the run game, he's dangerous. So we've got to continue to do that. He's got to have those 10, 15, 18 touches a game, however that may be. Because like you said, I mean, he's got really great balance. He's hard to tackle in the open field. He's a strong runner. So he's got to continue to do those things. And hopefully, again, it's a sophomore. Hopefully that's a learning experience for him of when he gets to the goal line and starts feeling that guy run behind him that we've got to cover up like we're coached to do.
In the from a receiving standpoint, two guys tied for the lead in receiving yards. Kobe King with 6 catches for 54 yards, and then Angel Russell got into the mix with 3 catches for 54 yards. Big yard per catch average there. In fact, for Angel, that's 18 yards a catch. They provided some really good options for Waylon on Friday nights, and Kobe especially. The run after catch, I was really impressed with.
And we've been wanting to see that from him because we know the kind of twitchiness that he's got. He's got a smoothness, ability to make guys miss. And we finally saw that. He made a couple guys miss, ran out of a couple of tackles. So that was really encouraging to see because a lot of our offense is predicated on throw the ball on time, create separation with those short intermediate routes. And, if we're getting that separation and getting the ball out on time, we're counting on you to go make yards after the catch. So really starting to see that with some of our guys like Kobe. So that was really encouraging to see with him. And then you mentioned Andrew. It's huge to get him back. That hamstring has just been nagging him all season, to the point where we haven't really been able to invest a lot of time in terms of, game planning to get him the ball, just because there's so much unknown. So he's back now. We saw what he can do, which we knew what he could do, but he's a headache for defenses. He's got a unique ability to get out of tackles and then burst out of it too. And I think we saw that, and he put it on display Friday night.
Moving over to the one last guy you wanted to mention. We gave Isaac McGill on the offensive line a shout out last week. You wanted to shout out one of our offensive linemen who's been nice and steady all season as well.
Yeah, Ivan Hernandez, arguably his best game of the season Friday night. Added a few things because he's a quick lineman. He's really good getting up into space. It's a good puller. Had a couple of key blocks. Broke Tyler Douglas loose a couple of times. His pass protection was solid. We talked about Waylon having a good game through the air. Very few times was there a lot of pressure. He had to step up a couple of times, but for the most part, I think we dropped back 34 times and didn't have a lot of pressure. Tip of the cap to Ivan. He's another sophomore who's really gotten better, and he's a guy that is totally committed and is going to continue to flourish, and embodies everything that we want our program to be.
Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, we talking about that defensive line, we had some really good pressure, whether it be on some run plays or some of the pass plays. Jackson Lowry added 2 tackles for loss, bringing his season total up to 6, which will have him in the top 10 in the region, alongside his brother, Branson Lowry, who has 6.5 tackles for loss now. Something about that family, they love to tackle people in the backfield. We mentioned earlier this year that Levi, their older brother, who was a senior last year, tied the school record with 12 last year for tackles for loss. The Lowry boys leading our team in tackles for loss after Jackson added a couple. And then able to get the quarterback on the ground a couple of times with sacks. Colby Ewert had a sack Friday night, and Branson Lowry also had one.
Yeah, all those guys you mentioned, you feel like those are guys that we've mentioned all year long. You just look at their skill set, and that kind of tells the story with them, especially Jackson, second-year starter for us. So he's really comfortable in the system, and he's been able to play faster this year. The physicality part's never been an issue. The speed of the game really hasn't been an issue because he comes off the ball and plays with great leverage. But the fact that he's more comfortable in what we're doing has been huge this year. And he's also doing that while having a bigger role on the offensive side of the ball. So tip of the cap to him, how he's contributing to our team.
All right, when we come back, we are going to jump into previewing our game with a short trip over to Chatsworth to take on the Murray County Indians for our 7th game of the season. And we will talk about this game, some of the history with this team, as this is another one of those programs that we've played every single year since the school has been open, or participating in varsity football. So that and more, stick around. This is the Coahulla Creek Football Show presented by Julian Peoples Funeral Home.
This is your Alpha Insurance Player of the Week.
Whether you're looking for a taste of classic seasonal sweetness or need to satisfy your candy cravings, DQ has something for every fan this season. So hurry into DQ on Cleveland Highway today and see what else is in store for fans all season long.
Introducing BioLite, the world's first IV in a bottle. BioLite is a medical-strength hydration solution physician formulated to help relieve the discomforts of dehydration, like upset stomach and fatigue. If you want powerful hydration relief, try it today.
Junior's Building Materials, the Tri-State's headquarters with building products for builders, contractors, remodeling projects, and do-it-yourselfers. Junior's is the largest dealer stocking Trex Decking, the world's #1 composite decking brand. Trex isn't just boards and balusters, but a new way to live outdoor and virtually maintenance-free. For all your building or remodeling needs, shop Junior's Building Materials.
Junior's Building Materials. We always come through for you.
Welcome back to the Coahulla Creek Football Show, presented by Julian Peoples Funeral Home. Coach, making the short trip over to Murray County. One thing I was actually thinking about this past week with the last half of our season versus the first half of our season, had two of our two longest road trips in the first half, going to Somerville and going down to Kennesaw. The last half of the season will be games either we play at home. The furthest we'll travel away will actually be to Ringgold. Playing at Ringgold, we got Union next week at home, and then we got two games, two trips to Chatsworth and a trip to Ringgold. That's kind of nice.
Well, it's kind of what you hope for in your region, right? And what we hoped for when this thing originally started shaking out before we got the two last minute additions. So yeah, that's really what you hope for in high school football with how your region shakes out, is those 30, maybe 40-minute bus rides or less. So it is kind of nice. I was actually, when I was interviewing earlier with Jeannie Cook on the website, talking about that, she was asking about getting back on the road, because it's been a while since we've had some off weeks in there, and we've been at home a lot. Sometimes it's a good thing. It's easier to focus on the road because there's less going on. You're off your campus, get away from campus, you get on the bus and go somewhere else, and you sit in the locker room and get yourself ready to go. So hopefully that can be the case for us this week.
Playing at Murray County for the second year in a row. Last year when we were there, pretty special moment for you. Had your first career win as a coach. That was the season opener. Little different situation this time, as it's in the middle of our season, and they're a region opponent this year.
Yeah, it is. But like we talked about it just as you open up this segment, kind of a rival that we've played every single year since we started with varsity football. So region opponent, non-region opponent, it's a special game because it's a close game. The communities are like close enough, but they don't do things together. So there's a little bit of that dislike and distaste for each other. And want to show the other one up in this game. So special for both communities.
Yeah, I've always loved the Whitfield Murray County schools rivalries and stuff like that. I loved seeing Murray play Southeast Whitfield. That's a game that I think they've played a couple of years in a row now, but outside of that, they hadn't played in a long time. That's Murray's lone win on the season is against Southeast. There's always Murray playing Dalton, Murray playing Northwest Whitfield, now North Murray playing Dalton and Northwest Whitfield, and we play North Murray again this year, getting them back on the schedule. That trip across the Conasauga, that's always a fun trip to make. And but looking at Murray, this is a team that is as I talked with Murray's athletic director earlier this week, getting kind of prepared to as we'll be there with our radio crew Friday night. I sensed a sense of desperation from them. They're hungry to win a game, and I know we are too. And I got a feeling that's gonna roll out on the field Friday night. How do you rein that emotion in of having that desperation and transition that to, okay, let's take this emotion and turn it into execution?
It's got to be handled through the week, because what we can't do is have a bad week of preparation, and then that desperation shows up on the field and it looks like panic early on. Like if things don't go well and it looks like we're panicked of like, gosh, we've got to win this one. We've got to win. We never want to put that kind of pressure on ourselves, like we're not prepared in that moment. So it starts with our prep, with our game plan, and how our kids are digesting that stuff. And the kind of quality reps that we get at practice. So that's the way we'll approach it as a coaching staff, because the last thing we want to do is, like I said, create that panic with our kids, because above anything, we've got to get back to where we were a couple of weeks ago. We were progressing and getting better, and that was probably my biggest takeaway in terms of a letdown. When we look back to LFO, I feel like we didn't progress in a lot of areas, so that was really disappointing. So hopefully we can get back to that, and then the result will be where we want it because of that preparation.
Talking about some of the history with these programs playing each other and whatnot, 6-6, all time. So the series is tied coming into Friday night's game. We've won the last 3 games, dating back to 2020 was the last time Murray was victorious in this series. But it's been a kind of a back and forth series of kind of streaks. Coahulla Creek won the first 2 ever meetings, but then Murray went on a streak of winning several in a row. Now we're kind of on a streak. But overall, it's been a pretty competitive series. What is it like going back to coach at these venues that you played in high school?
It's a little bit nostalgic. I can't deny that, especially at a place like that, like a Murray County, their stadium's been there for a long time. And that's one of the better high school football stadiums, in my opinion anyways, because anytime you get to go somewhere where there's no track around the football field and the stands are a little more on top of you, the energy is just a little bit different. So, the combination of those things definitely makes it a little special. As if my juices don't get flowing enough. I mean, if I wasn't that way, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. But then you get that added element too, makes it probably even more exciting.
Yeah, that's definitely cool, especially kind of having some of these games, these teams in our region that are a lot closer, like we talked about toward just a few moments ago. When we come back, going to look at some schedule updates from a JV standpoint that we'll address, and a few other notes about the team going into the final 4 games of the season. This is the Coahulla Creek Football Show presented by Julian Peoples Funeral Home.
Your roof is the most critical part of your home, especially in the heat of the summer. That's why OC Roofing Systems is offering free roof inspections all summer long. Families in Ellijay have trusted OC Roofing Systems time and time again for our award-winning service and countless 5-star reviews. Protect your roof this summer. Visit ocroofingsystems.com today and schedule your free roof inspection.
Nature never repeats itself, and neither does Mohawk's Techwood hardwood flooring. Techwood is unique and one of a kind. Your floor should be long-lasting and beautiful, like the relationships you create at home. Choose Techwood for a stunning, natural hardwood floor for everyday performance. More moments are made on Mohawk.
I'm Coach Hernandez. I coach the outside linebackers, and this is my 3rd year at Coahulla Creek High School coaching football. Honestly, it's been a lot more comfortable. I've been able to do some of the things that I did as a high school player. I know one thing that's a little bit different is just scheme-wise. I feel like when I played it, we ran a 3-3, and here right now we're running a 3-4, and so it's still a lot of the basic fundamentals. It's just my guys are asked a lot more, blitz-wise, like that kind of stuff. But as far as everything goes, it's been a smooth transition for sure. I think overall, I've learned a lot more about what it takes outside of just practice time. All the film work and that kind of breaking down film, understanding if an offense wants to do a certain play or if they have a certain scheme going and tendencies. I feel like I've really improved with that, especially just the amount of time it takes to break down that kind of thing. Yes, absolutely. I know, especially whenever hunting season will roll around, when we're driving through, getting where we need to go, we'll start talking about football because that's one thing we've had in common forever. I've always looked up to him when it comes to getting ideas about individual drills and that kind of thing, and just if I see something and had a question about it as far as another scouting, like scouting for another team, I feel like I've always asked him just in case he has some ideas. I think I'm starting to get more of an identity when it comes to that. I think the X's and O's have always come natural, and I feel like that's something I'm starting to embrace. I know with Coach Holliday, we talk a lot whenever we have a chance, but I feel like the X's and O's are something that's very important and something that may be overlooked a lot of the times, but I feel like that's probably my strong suit right now. It's a transition, I'll say that. I know teaching-wise, it'll be a lot more on my plate, but getting to come to football in the afternoons, I feel like that's a great outlet for me, and I really appreciate the opportunity just to continue on here. Outside of football, I would say yes, I spend most of the time with that, but I do enjoy other sports like golf, and I'll sit there and I'll watch bull riding and stuff like that. I would definitely say it wouldn't be just one moment, but the kids I coached last year, I mean, they're a great group of kids. They were hilarious to work with every day. I know, I just feel like getting to have their personalities, I feel like that's just a great moment to have.
Welcome back to the Coahulla Creek Football Show presented by Julian Peoples Funeral Home. Coach, this week's JV game, once again, we're going to wind up not playing that as we've some of it's been due to our own injuries, but some of these cancellations have been out of our control. This one kind of more injury related on our front.
Yeah, like we said, we're a little bit thin on the JV side. Some of it, our freshman class is good numbers, but we're almost having to rely on almost only those guys because we have so many sophomores playing up on varsity. We've got, I think it's 3 JV linemen with injuries that hadn't been able to come back. So just don't have the depth there to be able to go out and play, which we hate for those guys because they work extremely hard every day in practice, whether it be working on our scheme and running the scout team for us. So we hate that it's been a while since they've been able to go out there, but, don't want to put them out there in a bad situation where, another guy goes down in a game and we end up literally just throwing a body out there and it doesn't set them up for success because, that we want them to be able to get good quality reps in a game.
Yeah, so tentatively looking at this game was supposed to be against Norville, so tentatively we're looking at Southeast Whitfield next Thursday night and potentially an additional game with Ringgold coming up, depending on how things go with the JV schedule. So a few other notes. We got senior night coming up next Friday night as we'll be back at home for our final home game of the season. Also going to be Pink Out night as we are recognizing Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yeah, got those things going on. We had quite a few orders on those shirts that we had sold on the website to have some people in lookalike shirts and represent that in the stands. And also a portion of those will be donated once we get all that money in to the Breast Cancer Awareness Fund once all that stuff irons out. So really excited about those things. It'll be a big night, obviously with the senior night and then the Pink Out as well.
Yeah, and then lastly, as you kind of look out here over the month of October, coming up in 3 weeks, we will have a televised game for I believe the 4th consecutive season. As it'll be our second trip to Chatsworth as we play the North Murray Mountaineers. That's exciting. Did want to add a little administrative note here. That game will not be on the radio with it being televised. We did that last year. Kind of wound up having a little bit of technical issues because the CW Chattanooga sucked all the bandwidth out of the stadium. We wound up having some technical issues. So we're just going to step aside this year and let the TV crew do their own business or do their deal. And you won't hear me that Friday night, but we'll be back for the regular season finale against Ringgold the next week. But did want to go ahead and put that out there. Be prepared to not have that game on the radio, but you can watch it several ways. I think they even stream it on their website.
Yeah, really excited about that. Like you said, 4 years in a row. Awesome way for our program to be recognized, our school to be recognized. They do a great job of covering our kids and, talking about our schools. So we love that opportunity anytime it comes. So we'll be looking forward to that when the time comes.
All right. That's going to do it for this week's show. Thank you for tuning in. For head coach Drew Carter, I am Brooks Carter, and this has been another edition of the Coahulla Creek Football Show presented by Julian Peoples Funeral Home. We'll be right back here, same time, same place on our YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week.